Hi, welcome to my video on fundamental identities. And the identities in this video we're going to look at are the reciprocal and the quotient identities. The reciprocal identities you might have seen before, and that is secant theta is 1 over cosine or cos theta, and denoted by secant as SEC, theta is 1 over cos. And also, cos theta is 1 over secant theta. Cosecant theta is 1 over sine. Cosecant is CSC. Theta equals 1 over sine. And also, sine theta could be defined as 1 over cosecant, the reciprocal of cosecant, CSC. And cot is 1 over tan, and also tan could be defined as 1 over cot theta. So, again, to learn, secant is 1 over cos, S and C. Cosecant is 1 over sine, C and S. And cot and tan are reciprocals of each other. And we also have the quotient identities. Tan is sine theta over cos theta, and cot is cos theta over sine theta. Now let me derive those for you. These are identities that you have to memorize. Again, secant is 1 over cos, cosecant 1 over sine, and tan is 1 over cot, or cot is 1 over tan, etc. And let's call this angle here theta. And let's label this side as B, and this side as C, and this side as A. In relation to, we have theta as the angle. So we have tan. We know that the tan of an angle is the opposite over the adjacent. So in relation to theta, which is here, the opposite is B over adjacent, which is A. And also we have sine theta over cos theta. And we know that sine is opposite over adjacent. We know that sine is opposite over hypotenuse. Gotta be careful. Cos is adjacent over hypotenuse. So that means we get opposite over hypotenuse times the reciprocal, hypotenuse over adjacent. The hypotenuse cancels out, and I get opposite over adjacent, which is, in this case, the opposite is B over the adjacent, which is the A. And notice that the two of these are the same, so that means that tan theta is equal to sine theta divided by the cos of theta. So B over A, so that means tan is equal to sine over cos. And another way that I help my memory is that I know that tan is opposite over adjacent. Therefore, I associate opposite has sine, and adjacent, let me get a new pen here now, this one is running out. Opposite and adjacent is cos got adjacent. So that's how I know that tan is sine over cosine, because tan is opposite over adjacent. So opposite over adjacent is sine, got opposite, cos got adjacent. And also, if you take cot is the reciprocal of tan, so therefore cot is the reciprocal of tan. If tan is sine over cos, cot is cos theta over sine theta. And you have to memorize these tan is sine over cos, cot is cos over sine. And again, just to show you, cot is adjacent over opposite, and adjacent over opposite. Cos has adjacent, and sine got opposite. That's how, again, a little trick for my memorizing. So we have to learn the reciprocal ratios to do the identities, and we have to know the quotient identities to do the trig that we're going to do. And we have I follow a pattern most times, and it works. And that is, I usually cot, tan, secant, and cosecant is changed to sine and or cos. So I know that cot is cos over sine, tan is sine over cos, secant is 1 over cos, and cosecant is 1 over sine. I have them memorized. So as a result, when it says simplify, we simplify in terms of sine and cos. It makes everything easier. So cos theta times, that's a times tan theta. Tan is sine over cos. So we change tan to sine over cos. And because we're multiplying fractions, we can cancel the cos's, 1, 1. So that gives us sine theta over 1, which is sine theta. And also b, sine times cos times cot, all the same angles, so everything is okay. We have sine, can't change it. Cos, we can't change it. We can, but remember, I'm changing everything to sine and or cos. Cot is cos over sine. Remember, cos is adjacent over opposite, so that's cos has adjacent over opposite, which is sine. Because we're multiplying fractions, can we cancel? Because the sine is over 1, the cos is over 1, the sines cancel, and we get cos theta times cos theta, which is cos squared theta. C, sine divided by tan. Well, sine is okay, but another name for tan is sine divided by cosine. So notice this is a division here. This big line is acting as the division. So this is sine theta, which is on top, multiplied by the reciprocal of the bottom, which is cos theta over sine theta. And again, we're multiplying, and the signs cancel out, so the answer is cos theta. Notice it's easier if you can write everything in terms of sine and cos. It simplifies. And D, we have cot, and cot is cos theta divided by sine theta, and that's the division there between the two of them. And cos, so I changed the cot to cos over sine. So notice this is division here. So that's cos over 1. So that's cos theta over sine. And we're dividing by cos, so we're going to multiply by 1 over cos. Notice I put the cos over 1, so we have a fraction in the numerator, fraction denominator, so we multiply by the reciprocal. The cos's cancel, because they're multiplying fractions, you cancel. So we get 1 times 1 is 1 over sine. So we could leave it like that, because we can change it to sine and cos, but also it depends, as you learn later, 1 over sine is the same as 1 over sine could be cosecant theta. So you did all this manipulation to get 1 over sine or cosecant theta. Okay, let's continue. More examples. More to do. Secant plus 1. Well, secant is 1 over cos theta plus 1. And we're adding fractions, so we need a common denominator, so the LCD is cos theta. So 1 over cos. And 1 is the same as cos theta over cos theta. And I put cos over cos because cosine is the denominator. So we write down our denominator, which is cos theta or cosine theta. And 1 plus cos can't be added together because they're not like terms. So it's, in other words, we start out with secant 1 over cos, and we end up with 1 fraction. F, cosecant is changed to 1 over sine. Again, just to remind you, I got a C, so I have an S. Secant is the reciprocal of cos, because S is a C. Now, I need a common denominator. A denominator is sine and cos, so the LCD is sine theta cos theta. We multiply them together. So we multiply this fraction by cos over cos to keep it balanced. We multiply this fraction by sine theta over sine theta. And when we do that, the common denominator is cos theta sine theta. Cos times 1 is cos theta. Subtract. And this denominator is cos theta sine theta. 1 times sine is sine theta. The two denominators are the same, so we'll write down just one of them. We keep the denominator. And we subtract because they're not like terms, so we just get a cos theta minus sine theta. We cannot subtract them because they're not like terms. G, notice here now that we have multiplication, addition, multiplication. According to PEMDAS, we have to multiply first, but let's change. Secant is the reciprocal of cos theta. We got sine is okay. Cosecant is the reciprocal of sine. Again, SC, CS. And we have to do PEMDAS, PEMDAS, the order of operations. There's no parentheses and there's no exponents. We have to multiply or divide left to right and then add and subtract. So we multiply these two and then these two. Because we're multiplying fractions, they cancel and we get a 1. We multiply these two, they cancel, signs cancel, and I get a 1. So 1 plus 1 gives us 2 when you simplify it. And H, tan theta minus 1. We want to, tan is opposite over adjacent, so that means it's sine over cosine minus 1. And another name, the LCD for this fraction is cosine theta. So that means 1 has to change to cosine theta. So another name for 1 is cosine over cosine. Remember, another name for 1 could be any expression over itself except 0. Because cosine is the denominator of this fraction, we need cosine here. So cosine over cosine is 1. Cosine is the common denominator, so we write it down. And so we have a sine minus cos. Sine theta minus cos theta. Practice makes perfect. The more you work with these, the better you get. But you have to know the trig identities, and which is secant is 1 over cos, cosecant is 1 over sine, tan is sine over cos, cot is cos over sine. You have to learn them, and you have to know how to work with the rational expressions, the unit on rational expressions, adding, subtracting, multiplying, dividing, and their combinations. Very important. And let's move on to I. Cot. Cot is cos over sine, so it's cos squared over sine squared, minus cosecant. C, I need an S, so it's 1 over sine. And the two denominators are the same, so I keep the denominator. And I subtract cos squared theta minus 1. There is another name for this, but I'm not going to worry about that right now. We'll deal with it later. Cos squared minus 1 can have another name, but I'm just emphasizing the addition of the fractions. J, we have, notice we have cos theta plus sine theta over sine. And notice this is the long one. This is doing the dividing. Cosecant is 1 over sine. So this is division here. So we have a complex fraction that we, again, studied earlier in rational expressions. Complex fractions, again, good to review, good to know. So we have a fraction divided by a fraction. I can handle this two ways now. The fundamental way is to take the top fraction, which is this one, and multiply by the reciprocal of the bottom one. So this is the fraction that's in the numerator. This is the fractions in the denominator. So it's the top multiplied by the reciprocal at the bottom. And notice we're multiplying, so the signs cancel out. So we get cos theta plus sine theta. And another way to do this is to, because you have complex fractions, we say the LCD for top and bottom is sine theta. So we can multiply the top and the bottom by sine theta. The top and the bottom by sine theta. That keeps a balance. We're multiplying the top, the numerator, by sine theta. We're multiplying the bottom by sine theta. In other words, sine over sine is 1. When we do that, then we get the sines cancel. So I get cos theta plus sine theta. They cancel out 1, 1. And the bottom, the sign, we're multiplying fractions, so the signs cancel. And that's a 1 and a 1. So I get a 1 on the bottom. So that becomes cos theta plus sine theta. So I did it two different ways. It's your choice when you're doing identities or simplifying. If you can work it out one way, great. Work it another way. So you have a choice, but you don't have to work it out both ways. And we have some practice. Practice means you can pause the video and work out one at a time and press playback when you get it done, or you can do them all and then press playback. But here we go. Let's do one at a time. Sine times cot. Sine is okay. Cot is cos over sine. The faster you learn them, the better you can do with identities. And the sine over 1, so they cancel. 1, 1. So 1 times cos is cos. And cosine over 1 is just cosine. Cot is cos theta over sine theta. Tan is sine over cos. And notice that's a multiplication in the middle. Because we're multiplying, I can put a dot there or put brackets or put a multiplication sign. The signs cancel out, 1 and 1. The causes cancel out, 1 and 1. So that's 1 over 1, which is 1 when simplified. 3. Cos divided by cot, sine theta divided by cot is sine theta. And cot is cos over sine, or cos theta over sine theta. So that becomes, let's go sideways here, that becomes sine theta. Because we're dividing, we're going to multiply by the reciprocal, which is sine over cos. So this is the division. So we're sine, which is the numerator, multiplied by the reciprocal of the denominator. And that's over 1. We cannot cancel. Sine times sine is sine squared. And 1 times cos is cos. And again, later on in identities, you'll be able to simplify this further or write a different expression for this, but not right now. And we have number 4, 1 plus cosecant. Cosecant is 1 over sine theta. Again, C and an S. Another name for 1. The common denominator is sine. So 1 is sine over sine. Done. And we have a common denominator, which is sine. And we add the numerators. But we can't combine them. So that's sine theta plus 1. And let's continue. Number 5. How you doing? Everything going great? Again, learn your identities, the reciprocal ones and the quotient ones. Very important. We're going to subtract these two. So tan is sine theta over cos theta. Cot is cos theta over sine theta. Again, tan is opposite over adjacent, and opposite has sine, adjacent has cos, and reciprocal of tan is cot. So we flip this one around. Done. And the LCD for these two is cos theta sine theta. So we multiply this one by sine over sine, because sine times cos gives you this denominator. And we multiply this one by cos over cos to keep it balanced. So sine times cos, same as this. And cos times sine, same thing. So sine times cos are the same as cos times sine. So, because multiplication is commutative. And we multiply, we get sine times sine is sine squared over sine theta cos theta. Subtract cos theta is cos squared theta. And we get sine theta cos theta. Notice when I did this one, I put sine on the left and I put cos on the right to keep the two denominators looking the same. There they are. And the common denominator is, these are the same, so we write one of them down. We have to keep the denominator. And so this is sine squared theta minus cos squared theta. And again, later on in the videos I'm going to do, you will see how to work out some of the other one. I'm only concerned now with the adding and subtracting. Number 6, simplify. So sine squared is okay. But we have cosecant, which is 1 over sine theta. Tan is sine over cos. And we got a cos. So I changed the cosecant to 1 over sine. I changed the tan to sine over cos. And we have a multiplication, so we cancel. This is power of 1. So this is squared and this is 1, so they cancel. And that gives me an extra sine theta on top. So sine theta times 1 is sine theta. And right here, we left the theta off. We're multiplying, so the cos's cancel, and I get 3 sine. Remember, cos's cancel, 1 and 1 cancel out. And I get 1 sine plus 3 sine is 4 sine theta. They're like terms, so I can add them. Notice they're not like terms here, so I can't add them. And number 7, we have tan as tan is sine over cos. So tan squared is sine squared over cos squared. And secant squared, secant is 1 over cos. But it's squared, so 1 squared is 1, and cos squared. So secant is 1 over cos, but when you multiply 1 over cos by 1 over cos, you get 1 over cos squared. And the two denominators are the same, so it's cos squared. Write it down. And the numerators, we have to add them. Sine squared plus 1. But again, we can't add these two expressions because they're not the same. At number 8, we have to change the secant. So sine theta plus 1 over cos theta. This is the division. So we make sure that line, this is the longer line, so this the one is doing a division between these two. Secant is 1 over cos theta. Now we got a complex fraction, so we have to take the numerator, which is cos sine theta plus 1 over cos theta, and we're going to multiply it by the reciprocal of the bottom. So this is the numerator right there, multiplied by the reciprocal of the denominator, which is cos over 1. The cos's cancel because we're multiplying fractions. So we get sine theta plus 1 as our final answer when we simplify it. So that's, again, learn your reciprocal identities and your quotient identities. Very important. And changing everything to sine and or cos makes things easier to work out. And that's a skill you're going to practice as we do more videos. If you like my video, click on the like button, subscribe button, notification bell. Visit my website, www.mathfullyexplained.com, to find more information about me, my videos, and the content. And that's the content on my YouTube channel called Math Fully Explained. Thank you for viewing my video. Bye-bye.